Everyone, thank you for joining us. I want to first remind you all that this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on our website next Tuesday. So today we're going to be talking about the student conduct process, and specifically when it comes to academic integrity. We know that it can be really unsettling to be accused of academic dishonesty, and that being referred to the Office of Student Conduct can evoke feelings of confusion, uncertainty, or even anxiety. So we often get questions from students about what the student conduct process is like, and we wanted to create this webinar to answer those questions and, more importantly, to explain some of your rights as a student. So today I'm joined by Associate Dean of Students, Amanda Davidson, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to her so that she can talk to us about the student conduct process when it comes to cases of academic integrity.
Thanks, Jen, and thank you all for being here today. I feel like this is a topic that really, unless you're dealing with it, you probably don't want to know much about, and I hope regardless of whether that's the case or you're just curious of what this looks like, you'll get something meaningful away from this presentation, because I think it's really important just proactively. And I thank you both and all the attendees for being here, because it's significant, and to make this choice is really going to help you be prepared academically and just to go through this process, or even just be prepared if the circumstance comes up. So let me just share with you all. I do have a PowerPoint that Jen is going to be putting in the chat or sharing out and posting online, so you will be able to access it after this presentation. But in the meantime, I want you all to see it. So we'll just go ahead and dive right in. So as Jen mentioned, I'm the Associate Dean of Students and Director of Student Conduct. I am an alum from Cal State Fullerton, and so I know what it's like to be a student here, and I have really enjoyed working at Cal State Fullerton because it's just a wonderful campus, and I think that really helps the work that I do, because I recognize that everyone's going to have a different experience, and really what I want to give back is to help students learn, even when we're in very difficult situations or they've made some choices that maybe might not be the best for themselves or for the campus. And so let me change slide, next page here. All right, so we're going to start off by just talking about what academic integrity is and what academic dishonesty is. So you probably heard both of these terms, and they're used interchangeably in some ways, but they really mean different things. So when you think of academic integrity, that has to do with making choices that have integrity and recognize the value of thought and ideation. And something that in our university and across the nation we value is recognizing when an idea doesn't origin from yourself and giving credit to folks that it originates from. And so the essence of academic integrity is really following those guidelines and being honest and fair, and making sure that you're engaging in positive behavior while on campus and in your academic work. Academic dishonesty is what's referred to when somebody might violate these policies or these expectations. And so specifically, that may involve plagiarism of any sort, cheating maybe on an exam, or sharing information that's not authorized. Sometimes this could be falsifying documents. Maybe you signed something on behalf of an advisor, or maybe you had an assignment that you had to go get the writing center to approve your essay or review it, and you just forge maybe their signature because you didn't really have the time to go. Those can all be examples of academic integrity. Some of them come across as more apparent or deliberative, so someone made the choice to violate that standard, but sometimes we can have academic dishonesty that's not intentional. So for example, plagiarism. Maybe you were running out of time and you started to draft your essay and you put in your references, just the content that you wanted, but you plan to go back later and really cite it based off of APA or some other citation format, but you ran out of time and weren't able to do that, and by accident you submit it to your professor, and it comes back with a Turnitin report that says, oh my gosh, there's 90% plagiarism here. So sometimes it truly can be accidental, but ultimately there's a lot of different ways this could happen. And so it's really important that you all review what the policy is and what those means are, because we do get a lot of students that come into our office initially having not realized that what they did was academic dishonesty. Another example that I see a lot that folks don't really know is academic dishonesty is when they submit assignments that they've done for previous courses. So maybe you have a similar course that you're taking the following semester, or maybe it builds on your general education classes and you want to resubmit the assignment. Well, you have to actually ask your professor if you can do that. Otherwise, it's considered self-plagiarism. So there's a lot of different ways that this can happen, and it's really important that you know in advance so that way you don't find yourself in that situation where you're being told that you violated the campus policy because of that reason.
Sorry, Amanda, I don't think we can see your screen.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Technology. I tell you, I'm not the best, so bear with me. Let me go back one slide and just so you can see the title page. So this was just the basic intro. You didn't miss too much. So now I'm going to move forward to our next slide. So let's talk about what happens if you're told by your instructor that you violated the campus policy on academic dishonesty. So what you'll want to do is review our UPS, which is the University Policy Statement on Academic Dishonesty. This gives you pretty clear definitions on what that academic dishonesty looks like. So you can reference back to that. And it also gives you the layout of what you can expect with the process. So your faculty member needs to tell you that you violated this. If they're going to hold you responsible, they need to explain to you why. And that's your right as a student, because someone can't just accuse you and not have any sort of evidence to support that. Sometimes the evidence that the faculty member has based off of what you submitted, they may be not sure whether this happened or not. And so they might ask you to set up a meeting or to explain a little bit further. And that's really important for you not to get scared and just stop engaging or talking with them, because it's important that you share your side of the story. And if it happens to be that, you know, you did accidentally do this or you intentionally did it, be honest. That's the first part of taking responsibility, and it really does help in the long run, because what we're trying to do is help you learn from it. And there's ways that we can help if you do take that accountability. Additionally, like I said, provide as much information as possible, but review the syllabus. Faculty are required to share what they would do in the event that academic dishonesty does occur in their course. And so they may have it laid out pretty specific in the syllabus that says, you know, what types of violations might get certain outcomes. So you want to look back, especially in anticipation of any conversation you might have with the faculty member, because that could be another piece of the conversation you have with them is about what the outcome will be, asking them questions and trying to understand how that might impact you. Another thing on here is I want you to know that you have the right to an appeal. And that's important, because I'm not saying you might want to appeal just because you know you did it and you just want to see what outcome or alternative you could get, but more so because we have to have what's called the preponderance of the evidence, which is a standard of proof that our office as well as faculty should be working off of in order to determine whether or not you violated the policy. So that doesn't mean that they can't prove or they don't have images to show that you cheated or were using your phone during the exam, but they have to have a considerate amount of information that's reasonable to make the determination that it's more likely than not that you did violate the policy. And so if you feel that they don't have that information, or maybe there's a different perspective or a different point of view that you have to share, you can also appeal this process or appeal. And what that process looks like is first talking with your faculty member. They have the power to change that decision. So you definitely want to talk with them and see what options you have. if you do set up a meeting and talk with them and they aren't willing to change their decision or their outcome, then you want to go to the department chair. They would be the next person that you'd go to talk with. Same thing, you'd meet with them, share your side of the story, and if they decided that you still committed academic dishonesty, then you would go to the associate dean or dean of the college. Sometimes it may be either person, and you do the same thing. Share your story, explain to them what happened, and depending on whether or not they still stand by the decision, you would then submit an academic appeals board form. And basically what that is you sharing your side of the story to the appeals board. From there, they review it and they allow the faculty member to respond. So they do get to see what you submit to the appeals board, and they get to explain their side of the story. And then the appeals board can do a couple different things. They might schedule a hearing for them to hear in person, or they might make a decision and notify you. This can be a tedious process, and we actually have a university policy statement that explains it deeper. So I won't go much further, but I will provide you all with the link and resources of where you could find that information. But that's just important to know because you do have the right to challenge these decisions. So I'm going to go to the next slide. And now we're at the student conduct process. So a lot of the folks get confused because the faculty are typically the ones that initially address these violations or issues. But once they address it, they refer it to our office. And so your faculty member might mention that you're going to get referred to the Office of Student Conduct. That scares a lot of individuals. And, you know, I don't want anyone to feel too overwhelmed by this because there's a lot that can be done and we want to hear your side of the story. And so try to stay calm and just follow any direction that our office sends. What we do once we receive the report is we look at the behavior and look at what information was provided and determine, is this something that we would charge the student with? We typically send an email, and that email has our information or our name on the email, but it will require you to put in your campus-wide ID number in order to access it. And so sometimes folks think like it's junk mail, or maybe they overlooked it because it wasn't, you know, there wasn't much to the initial email. But if you anticipate that you're being referred to our office, keep an eye out on your student email address because that's where we send it. And then once you get that letter, make sure you follow the directions, read it thoroughly, but try not to get scared too much by the letter either. There's a lot of language that we have to put in there that's standard, but just because it says that there could be a range of sanctions and the most extreme being an expulsion doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen to you. Especially if it's your first violation. We want to have you have an educational experience. And so all you have to do is really follow those directions, meet with our staff and share your perspective. And then what we do is determine, are there additional outcomes if you are found responsible that could enhance your learning. One other thing is sometimes we aren't able to get these letters out as quickly when we have an influx in cases. So if you wait a few days or a week before you hear from our office and you're anxious about it, feel free to reach out to us. You can contact our main Dean of Students line, or you can contact the Student Conduct Office directly, and you can ask that for, hey, did I get a referral? Has my name come up? My professor shared this. Can I get a status on when I might expect some information from your office? And we will be happy to give you more specific details. So ultimately, we go through that process, and I also want you to know that you have appeal rights through our process as well. So if we make a determination and you still feel that you were wrongly accused and there's not enough evidence to show that, or you want to challenge the outcome that we're assigning, you can do that through our process. It's a pretty lengthy process as well to explain, so I won't go into detail, but we can provide you more information on that. Let me go on to the next slide. So let's talk about consequences, because this tends to be an area that a lot of folks are nervous about when they first get told that they're getting referred to our office. So our mission statement is here, and you can see, I'm going to read it. By approaching potential misconduct as opportunities for holistic personal development, the Office of Student Conduct fosters learning from and restoration of the impact students' actions may have on themselves, the campus community, and the larger community. So it got cut off there, so my apologies. But what this is trying to communicate to you all is that we want you to learn from this. And we want to make sure that any harm or impact that this has had does get restored, but truly an emphasis on learning. So your first violation, we're probably gonna just let you know where was the issue and how can you learn from this? What are resources that you can utilize next time so you don't find yourself in the same spot? I know from personal experience and through my work that a lot of these violations tend to occur because personal matters are going on. And just like our work, our academic lives aren't separate from our personal lives. And whether it's a family crisis or maybe you have bigger issues than your academics that you're dealing with, sometimes these things can be the cause or the root cause of it. And so our office is not just here to issue consequences to that. We also want to connect you and get you better prepared with resources that can help you be successful. So we're here to connect you and provide that support as well as just, be honest and say, hey, this was probably a bad choice. Let's move forward and make better ones in the future. Let me go to the next slide. All right, so like I said before, there's a lot of information that I'm really not touching on the details of because I wanted to give you all a very general bit of information about our process. But if you want to find out the fine details, you can visit our website at www.fullerton.edu/integrity. There's also a tab there that's resources for students. It has a lot of information, including the policies and things that you all can do to help make sure that you're successful on our campus. The next bullet on here is Title V, or what we refer to as the Student Code of Conduct. This is our main policy. So if any student are going through our office or our conduct process, it's going to be based off of those student conduct code. So it's important that whether you're in this situation right now or whether you're being proactive and trying to prevent it, you should review those policies because those are the expectations that we expect you to know as a Titan. And when students come into our offices and say, hey, I didn't know, that's not usually an okay excuse as to why. So please be proactive and just make sure you're aware of what those expectations are. And then lastly, if you need anything, and if you're watching this right now and thinking, oh my gosh, I want to follow up about my personal circumstance or a case that you may be dealing with, you can reach out to us at Student Conduct at Fullerton, and we will answer your question, whether it's individually specific or whether it's about our general process. We encourage that. Please reach out to us. I know it can be scary, but we're here to support and we're people, and we just want to get you connected and the information you need. All right, so I already mentioned where you can go, but there's also resources there that I just want to quickly talk about to give you some additional context. So ways to prevent and use the resources on campus to prevent like plagiarism or misciting things. You can go to the student success centers within your academic colleges. Let's say you're not sure how to go about a project, or you have something specific to one of your courses. There's folks there that are there to help you address it, even communicate with faculty when you might be stuck. There's assistant deans in all of the colleges who can help you navigate maybe some tough situations that you might be going through and how that impacts your academics. We also have the University Learning Center. So that's in the Pollock Library. And so that's where you can go to get additional resources. They also have tutors and various things that can help you with the material. Because sometimes, to be honest, there were classes that I had that I just didn't really get. And I think in those courses, sometimes there could be a willingness to use outside resources or possibly even cheat. The temptation is there. So make sure you get yourself set up with some of these campus support systems. And then another one is the Writing Center. They actually do workshops for our office, and they have amazing student staff and faculty that work there that can review your assignments. So if you're worried about it, or maybe you've gone through a violation already and you want to make sure that you don't have that happen again, you can seek their support out as well. So lastly, I just want to say thank you for attending. Like I said before, it's really important that you all learn this information before something happens. But if something's happened and you've already been here, know that we're all human and it's okay to make a mistake. And we want to be here to help guide you in making good decisions after that situation occurs. So if you're unsure or in a circumstance where you just need a little guidance, you can also reach out to us. I like to tell students in my meetings that, look, I don't want to have to call you in, but you're always welcome to call on us. So I hope these resources have been helpful. The one thing I hope you take away is that if you are found responsible for violating a policy, try and remain calm, come forth and share your honest perspective and engage in the process, and we will get you where you need to be. So thank you for your time, and we will share out this presentation so you can review that student code of conduct.
Thank you so much, Amanda, and thank you to everyone who joined us. Like Amanda said, we are going to put a link to this presentation in the description of this video when we post it on Tuesday. So make sure you check our website for that. It's just fullerton.edu/Dean of Students. And of course, remember, you can email student conduct or the Dean of Students at any time for any questions that you have. We're here to support you. We're really looking forward to starting fall semester with you, and we hope that you found this presentation helpful. So we'll see you next time, and have a good weekend, everyone. Bye.